What exactly is going to power you up the most in the First Descendant? One of the first things we're going to be taking a look at here is going to be the module master. Now, this is going to be broken down into two different components. And you're first going to have your modules for your Descendants and then your modules for your weapons. Now, a couple of different aspects you want to understand about this is one, module capacity. Two, the resource that's the main resource for this, which is the Cooper shards. Of course, you'll be utilizing gold, but those are the generalized things you just want to kind of be aware of. Now, when we're looking at, say, for example, starting off with the Descendant modules, what is the big takeaway here? Now, the thing is that one module in particular that I would say a beginner wants to be very aware of is going to be modules that are like this, or more specifically, the shock punch. Now, the shock punch is really important because one of the things that you're going to run into as you are trying to, I would say, augment or make more modules fit your build, you're going to realize that you're going to run into a cost issue. And this is where I wanted to start. This is going to actually help you with that. So not only does it modify your charge sub attack, but as the enhancement level increases, max module capacity increases. Now, this is specifically, if we're taking a look here, if we just keep clicking and we take it all the way to master rank 10, which I would not recommend doing, it will go all the way up to 57 out of the capacity that it had prior to. But it is also really important to understand that increasing modules also is very expensive. As you can see, that's 95K of the Cooper shards that's going to be required, and almost 1 million gold for you to take any module just about to rank 10, right? So that's a lot, right? Now, of course, with that, you want to be aware of the fact that it is okay to actually level these modules to what I would say is kind of the sweet spot, which is enhancement 5, right? At least starting out, you want to kind of get to that point so that you have a little bit more value. So when you get to things such as, like, for example, probably one of the first walls a lot of players will see is like the Dead Bride Inception battle, right? That's going to be something that you really want to make sure you're paying attention to. And then there's a couple of other components we'll get to in a second, but let's touch on the weapons real quick. Now, the other thing that's really important that I want to point out to you guys on the weapon modules is that there's going to be a very specific module that you're going to be transferring from gun to gun to gun, and it is slotted to each type of gun, right? So if you're looking here, you notice that every single gun has either a white bullet icon, orange bullet icon, the purple for the specialty bullets or special rounds, and then you even have green bullets, right? You want to make sure that you're paying attention to the icon that's in the right corner, top right corner, because that will obviously tell you what this is for, and it will be slotted to that specific or respective weapon anyway, but just to be aware of what you're doing at all facets, right? Now, this is going to be your firearm attack module. This is probably going to be one of your most important modules on your guns starting out. And the reason why that is because this directly increases and affects the DPS and DPS scaling on your modules. Now, the reason why I say scaling and I emphasize that is because if you look at a lot of other, modules, for example, like I added fire enhancement to my gun. I'm currently running and maining Blair. So that actually is something I really wanted to play into, right? But if you notice, it says adds fire attack equal to 8% of firearm attack. So this is something that is going to be generalized as your base stat value that scales basically every other aspect of what your build is going to be. So it's going to be really important that you're making sure that you have firearm attack on your weapons. I would even say that some other things you're going to want to look for as well is definitely things that say like firearm crit hit damage, and as well as anything that's able to give you firearm critical hit rate. Right now, the thing about this is that you're going to have to do this for each of your guns. Each gun is going to have slightly different variations. I just equipped a new gun, the different beams, so I have to go through and equip the modules for that. But every gun, like I said, is going to at least have and leveled up to level 5 minimum starting out once you get to a certain point for the rifling reinforcement, which is going to directly increase that gun said DPS. And you're going to be constantly unequipping and equipping these to the new weapons as you go. One thing I would not recommend doing And this is if we go back real quick. When you go back and take a look at the character, one thing I would not ever recommend doing is hitting equip recommended module. It is one of the worst things ever. It works like, and somebody said it in one of my streams, it works exactly how we thought it was, like in any other game. It is just purely bad. So do not use that, because it will have all of the things that you don't need on your weapon. And you will adjust these as you go, because again, each boss type that you might fight might require, you know, more fire damage, cold damage, etc. Don't overcomplicate this process though, because at this point, you're probably not at the point of being near end game, or I would say closer to the point of being near level 100 weapons. So you only want to touch on this a little bit, and that's why you have those stopping points for even the amounts you're spending on your Cooper shards. But it is still going to be very important. Now, since we are here on the module screen, I want to talk about module slotting and why module slotting is very important. Now, you're going to notice that these modules are going to have a special icon in the middle with the cost number, right? So if you notice, I have some slots that are lit up green. Why is that? So if I slide this module down, or actually, let's just take it off so you guys can see. You'll notice that this module slot actually has a symbol on it. And some people might be wondering, okay, I've seen that. What exactly is that symbol for? Now, that symbol is basically going to give you the opportunity to take a module with the same respective symbol, put it in that slot, and it actually will decrease the cost of that said module, giving you more ability to have more capacity freed up to potentially equip more modules. Now, the thing is that this is even more the reason why you're going to be constantly reinforcing your levels, reinforcing your characters, starting their levels over, because every single time you do that, it's going to allow you to be able to select a slot to be able to pick a specific symbol, so that you can help reduce your costs, so that you can have more module capacity to be able to equip more modules. So this is another important factor for you to be able to power up more, is that you want to make sure that you're slotting your modules, if you have the respective modules with that symbol, in the right slots that give you those cost reductions, so that you can actually equip more, right? So if we go back, I'm going to exit without saving, and we're going to go back into it, right? You'll see I had the fire enhancement here. And if I unequip this and say I took that fire enhancement, this is also the reason why I'm like, you got to be careful with, you know, using the equip recommended versus you doing it, because it might put something else that might not be nearly as valuable in that slot. But if I go and I put it, insufficient capacity. So, okay, point in case, right? I can't even actually equip that. I didn't even realize that, but that's because I augmented it to be in that slot. So it gave me the reduction to bring it down to 3 costs, right? So if we go back, we can now put it in that slot, and then you see it goes down to 3 costs, and we now are within that respective capacity. So very, very important to make sure that you're paying attention to that. And like I said, you're going to be adjusting this as you go, because this is a very, very important system. So let's get into some other things. We have to touch on the workbench, because I've been getting way too many questions about what and how it works and what levels the weapon. I can't figure this out. Listen, the workbench, okay? Now, there's another thing I want to add to this. We have obviously weapon level transmission. Weapon level transmission is very straightforward. If you, say, for example, are using a rare gun and you want to take another rare gun that is much stronger than the one that you have because you like the one that you have equipped, you can easily do that. You just click on it, and it's going to require phase exchangers at a quantity of 4, which takes 2 minutes to craft at the research, right? Now, the other thing is that obviously what more people are probably finding more present to do is leveling their ultimates, because you usually get those with like 276 DPS, which is like, oh God, right? So you're going to go ahead and place that same thing. Take whatever you feel like you want to use. Mind you, it's not about the type of weapon. It's about the DPS and level. Sorry, really more so the level of the weapon, right? So you're going to go ahead and press that, and then you're going to require the precision phase exchanger, which is the tier up, which requires liquid metal. And these are all resources that you can get from disassembling the other guns and things that you have so far, reactors, all that jazz, right? So that's how that basically works. Now, the main thing that I really wanted to highlight and emphasize here is going to actually be something that is going to be important for your ultimate weapons. And you have one on your account that's absolutely I would say a easy thing to utilize and take advantage of, considering that it is going to be one of the first things on your account that can do this. And you're going to be able to increase or enhance the unique ability. Now, with that, what exactly is that doing? So every single weapon has a unique ability, right? So you can see here, overcharge on the Thunder Cage. When defeating an enemy, the defeated enemy has a set chance to discharge electric shock waves, which deals additional damage to nearby enemies. Now, I know a lot of you guys are playing Bunny, and hey, this is the perfect weapon for her, right? Because she's quick moving, short bursts, more electric flows, shock waves on top of the movement shock wave that she has. This is absolutely insane, right? So what you would basically be doing is taking a dupe, which, by the way, the game, if you do your submissions, will give you one of these for free, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you're basically going to take the sub one that you have, and then what you'll see here is that this changes a couple of different things. Your reload time modifier goes down by 5%, and then you also have the electric shock wave, which the trigger rate goes up by 10%, and the radius goes up by 0.5%. So that's something that you have to kind of be aware of, is that this is going to help you with just honestly making you much stronger. So it is going to be worthwhile over time farming more legendary, or sorry, ultimate weapons, so that you can actually fuse them, even if it is the same one, into itself, so that you can actually make it stronger. So we're going to go ahead and do this because I have to do it anyway, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. And now we have that enhancement and we have that mission completed. So make sure that you guys are doing these things. So for the final tidbit, we're not going to stretch it. You got your reactors, you got your external components. I'll definitely say off rip, this is the icing on the cake, as I call it. But you do want to start being a little bit more aware of these things. Your reactor, obviously, like I've mentioned before, is a direct correlation to increasing not only your skill power, but also your range of your skills. This affects your sub attack power as well. So this is something that definitely you want to make sure you're increasing, because it does give you more power. But I wouldn't sweat it too much. You could even get away with putting a blue on in certain scenarios if you don't have anything else for some reason. But external components is something I think people want to be a little bit more conscious of. And the reason why is because as you're getting into more content, it is going to become a little bit more apparent to have components that are on that fit what you're trying to do. So for example, if you're doing more combat oriented things, you might want to equip more combat oriented components, and things that's giving HP or resistance or damage, whatever it might be, right? Versus like if you're trying to farm EXP to level your characters quicker, you might want something like character EXP gain. Now the other thing is that you might notice is that each of these things have a different color, I would say like stat, right, or role. And the reason why that is because those are rarity roles, or essentially RNG roles. And what that means is that you can technically roll a higher value of, say, for example, you were looking for like fire resistance. It is possible to find something that's either in the rare, which is going to be purple, or in the ultimate, which is going to be gold, for fire resistance. And so you can get much higher rolls. And so that's something that you want to kind of like take into consideration. Now, the other thing is too, is that if you are deciding that you want to keep a, say for example, an ultimate reactor, for example, or auxiliary, sorry, this is going to, even if you do go to power it up or upgrade it, it's always going to have the same value substats. So be very careful with that. The only fix you have to this is that you can actually go in and you can re-roll the substats. But the problem that you end up having with that is that it ends up being random substats. So it could just be honestly inherently worse. And again, it's also a little bit too early, in my opinion, to really be doing that when you have this abundance of resources that are constantly dropping, weapons constantly dropping, external components constantly dropping. So you don't want to go too deep into that, but just know that that functionality does exist, and it is something that you can be aware of. So if you want to hold on to some, you can, but just understand that you're probably going to possibly have some that are much better dropping much later. So that's that. But all in all and through, this is what I feel like is going to help you the most as a beginner, and it's going to give you the most value. Obviously, whatever descendant you decide to pick is all going to be up to you and your player choice and preference. And I think that that is also powerful within its own right, because the more you like it, the better I would hope you would perform. But that's going to be that, guys. If you guys would love to come through, chill with your boy at a stream, twitch.tv/ZoxysCon is where we'll be at. So make sure you guys come through. But everyone, stay blessed out there. and I'll catch you guys in the next one.